There's a voice in your head that comments on everything you do. Sometimes it's helpful. Often, it's brutal. You're not good enough. You always mess things up. Everyone thinks you're stupid. You'll never succeed. What's wrong with you? This is negative self-talk, and for many people, it's the dominant voice in their mind. A constant stream of criticism, judgment, and negativity that runs in the background of everything they do. Most people don't even notice it anymore. It's just there, like background noise. But this voice has real power. It shapes how you feel about yourself, what you attempt, what you believe is possible for you. Today we're talking about negative self-talk, what it is, where it comes from, why it's so damaging, and most importantly, how to change it. What negative self-talk actually is. Negative self-talk is the internal dialogue that criticizes, judges, or undermines you. It's the running commentary in your mind that interprets situations negatively and reinforces limiting beliefs about yourself. It shows up in different forms for different people. Some people have a voice that's overtly harsh and critical. You're pathetic. You can't do anything right. It sounds like an abusive parent or bully living in your head. Others have subtler negative self-talk. I'm probably bothering them. They're just being nice. They don't really like me. I should be further along by now. It's not overtly abusive, but it's constantly undermining. Negative self-talk often includes distortions. All or nothing thinking. I made one mistake. I'm a complete failure. Catastrophizing. This one thing went wrong. Everything is ruined. Mind reading. They think I'm stupid. I can tell. Fortune telling. I know I'm going to fail. It also shows up as constant comparison. Everyone else has it figured out except me. Other people are naturally good at this. I have to struggle. What makes negative self-talk particularly damaging is that you often believe it. These aren't thoughts you're evaluating objectively. They feel like truth. Your own mind is telling you these things, so they must be accurate, right? But here's what's important to understand. Negative self-talk isn't objective truth about you. It's a learned pattern. It's a habit. It's conditioning that you can change. The voice feels powerful and true, but it's actually just repetition. You've thought these thoughts so many times, they've become automatic. That doesn't make them accurate. Where negative self-talk comes from. Understanding the roots of negative self-talk helps you see it as learned rather than inherent truth about yourself. Internalized criticism from childhood. Much of your self-talk is internalized voices from your past. If you grew up with critical parents, teachers, or caregivers, you absorbed their words and made them your own internal voice. A parent who constantly said, "You're not trying hard enough," becomes your voice saying, "I'm not trying hard enough." A teacher who made you feel stupid becomes your voice saying, "I'm stupid." You took external criticism and made it internal. The cruel irony is that even after those people are gone from your life, you continue their criticism for them. The voice is now yours, but the words might not be. Protective mechanism gone wrong. Sometimes negative self-talk starts as an attempt to protect yourself. If you criticize yourself first, maybe others' criticism won't hurt as much. If you keep your expectations low, you won't be disappointed. This strategy makes sense on the surface, but it doesn't actually protect you. It just means you're constantly attacking yourself preemptively, which is its own form of suffering. Cultural and social messaging. You absorb messages from culture about what makes someone valuable, worthy, successful. When you don't meet those standards, negative self-talk fills in. I should be more successful by now. I should look different. I should want different things. These shoulds aren't necessarily your own values. They're absorbed expectations that become self-criticism. Perfectionism. If you believe you need to be perfect to be acceptable, any imperfection triggers harsh self-talk. One mistake becomes evidence of fundamental inadequacy. Normal human limitation becomes personal failure. Perfectionism and negative self-talk reinforce each other in a painful cycle. Unprocessed experiences. Sometimes negative self-talk comes from painful experiences you haven't fully processed. You made a mistake once, and someone shamed you for it. That shame gets internalized and becomes a voice that attacks you every time you make any mistake. The original experience is long past, but the voice you created continues. Why negative self-talk matters? This isn't just uncomfortable inner chatter. Negative self-talk has real consequences. It affects your mental health. Constant self-criticism creates and maintains anxiety and depression. You're living with a bully in your own head. That's exhausting and demoralizing. The voice tells you you're not good enough, and over time, you start to believe it. Research shows clear links between negative self-talk and poor mental health outcomes. The way you talk to yourself directly impacts how you feel. It limits what you attempt. Why try something new if your internal voice is already telling you you'll fail? Why put yourself out there if the voice says you'll be rejected? Negative self-talk keeps you small and safe because attempting things means risking confirmation of what the voice already says. You miss opportunities not because you lack capability, but because your self-talk convinces you there's no point in trying. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you constantly tell yourself you're bad at something, you approach it with that belief. Your negative expectation affects your performance, which then confirms the negative belief. The voice creates the reality it predicts. I'm bad at meeting new people becomes true because you approach social situations with that belief, which makes you anxious and awkward, which reinforces the belief. It damages relationships. Negative self-talk affects how you interpret others' behavior. They didn't text back. They must think I'm annoying. They're quiet. They must be upset with me. You're constantly reading negative intent into neutral situations because that's what your internal voice expects. This creates problems that weren't there. You pull away from people based on stories your negative self-talk created, not on actual evidence. It prevents self-compassion. When your dominant internal voice is harsh and critical, being kind to yourself feels impossible or fake. You can't override that constant negativity with occasional positive thoughts. The critical voice is too strong, too constant, too convincing. It drains your energy. Constant self-criticism is exhausting. You're using enormous mental and emotional energy to maintain this negative internal dialogue. Energy that could go toward things that actually matter instead goes toward attacking yourself. How to change negative self-talk? You can't eliminate negative thoughts completely. Your brain will generate negative content sometimes. But you can change your relationship with those thoughts and reduce their frequency and power. Notice the voice. First step is awareness. Start catching negative self-talk when it happens. Many people are so used to it, they don't even notice anymore. It's just background noise. Pay attention. When you feel suddenly worse, anxious, or deflated, check in. What just went through your mind? What did you just tell yourself? Simply noticing breaks the automatic pattern. You're no longer just believing the thoughts. You're observing them. Question whether it's true. When you catch negative self-talk, ask, is this actually true? What's the evidence for and against this thought? Your mind says, I always mess everything up. Really? Everything? Always? Or did you make one mistake in this specific situation? Often negative self-talk uses absolutes. Always, never, everything, everyone. These are almost never actually true. Questioning them reveals the distortion. Identify whose voice it is. Sometimes it helps to recognize where the voice came from. Is this your voice or your critical parent's voice that you internalized? Is this actually your thought or absorbed messaging from culture? When you realize, this is my father's criticism, not objective truth, it becomes easier to question it. Talk to yourself like you'd talk to a friend. Would you say these things to someone you care about? If a friend came to you with a problem, would you say, "You're pathetic? You always fail"? Of course not. So why is it acceptable to say that to yourself? Practice using the same tone with yourself that you'd use with someone you care about. This is self-compassion in action. Replace with more realistic thoughts. This isn't about replacing negative thoughts with fake positive ones. It's about replacing distorted thoughts with accurate ones. Instead of "I'm a complete failure," try "I failed at this specific thing," which is disappointing but doesn't define me. Instead of "Everyone thinks I'm stupid," try "I don't know what they think, and one person's opinion doesn't determine my worth." More realistic, not necessarily more positive, just more accurate. Separate yourself from your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You're the awareness that observes thoughts. This might sound abstract, but it's powerful. Instead of "I'm worthless," notice I'm having the thought that I'm worthless. That small shift creates space. The thought is just a thought, not ultimate truth about you. Use externalization. Some people find it helpful to name the critical voice. "That's my inner critic talking," or even give it a character. "There goes negative Nancy again." This creates distance between you and the voice. It's not you. It's a part of your mind generating unhelpful content. Practice self-compassion phrases. Develop specific phrases you can use when negative self-talk arises. "I'm doing my best." "This is difficult." "And that's okay." "I'm learning." "I'm human and humans make mistakes." These ready makes it easier to counter negative self-talk in the moment instead of getting swept into it. Challenge the worst-case scenario. Negative self-talk often catastrophizes. Ask, "What's the actual worst that could happen? And if that happened, could I handle it?" Usually the answer is yes, you could handle it. This reduces the power of catastrophic thinking. Look for evidence against the thought. Your mind says, "I never do anything right." Actively look for counter-evidence. What have you done right? Can you find even one example? Usually you can find many. This doesn't eliminate the negative thought, but it provides balance. Redirect attention to action. Sometimes the best response to negative self-talk is redirecting to what you can actually do. My mind is telling me I'll fail. What's one small action I can take anyway? You don't have to believe the thought is false. You just have to act despite it. Be patient with the process. Changing self-talk patterns takes time. You've been thinking this way for years, maybe decades. It won't change overnight. You'll have days where the negative voice is loud and you believe it completely. That's normal. It doesn't mean you're not making progress. Change happens gradually with consistent practice. Conclusion. The voice in your head has enormous power over your life. It shapes how you feel, what you believe about yourself, what you attempt, how you interpret the world. If that voice is constantly harsh and critical, you're living with a bully in your own mind. That's not just uncomfortable, it's limiting and damaging. But here's the important part. That voice is learned. It's a habit, and habits can change. You don't have to believe every thought your mind generates. You can question it, challenge it, replace it with something more accurate and compassionate. This takes practice. But every time you catch negative self-talk and choose to respond differently, you're building a new pattern. A kinder, more supportive internal voice. You deserve that kindness from yourself. Thank you for taking this time to reflect with me. I hope you carry something from this conversation into your day, into your life. Be gentle with yourself until we meet again.